Hello and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. When we left off, we had a battle with a space station in orbit. You can go ahead and click here if you want to see that. We did win, but unfortunately Jebediah had to ram the spacecraft to keep it from returning to the homeworld of the aliens and alerting them that we were back in space. We don't know if he's alive, but we're sending up a salvage team now, and we're hoping that they can find him. That's their informal mission. Their formal mission is to recover technology from the space station, preferably intact warp drive, so that we can find more out about these aliens, and hopefully we can fight them. This is just a standard rocket launch. We can actually do standard rocket launches now because we've destroyed the alien presence in space. We believe that they were previously trying to monitor us and make sure we didn't return to space to, fight them or anything. But now that the station has been destroyed, there's no reason that we have to use strange launch methods like flying out of a plane. This is going to make everything much more efficient. And you also might have noticed that this little spacecraft here has a different engine on it. It's a methane-powered engine. It has a lot of thrust, but it also has quite a high ISP. We're going to be putting as much experimental technology into launches as we can, because we're trying to advance as fast as possible. Of course, it would have been smart to be safe and put a trusted, tested engine on this craft, but we really don't have much time. It's going to be about a month until the aliens start suspecting something, because the station's been sending out monthly transmissions. But let's go ahead and get close to this. I can't quite tell what it is. It's just a little speck, but we can see that the other one does in fact have a complete warp drive on it. So we're going to go ahead and head over to it first. As you can tell, this has those monoprop engines that we've been developing. We now think that they're stable. They burn monoprop. Same thing as an RTS thruster, but they're more like a rocket. And for some reason, we've clipped through the science bay of this warp drive. And now we've run out of electric charge. We're going to go ahead and pick up this probe again with a big salvage ship. But for now, we're going to launch the second one and go ahead and go over to the second piece of debris and see what it is. So open up the claw and start heading toward it. No. It appears to be the crew capsule of Starfighter 2. Yes, Jebediah is alive, along with Private Roley, who has proved himself to be quite a badass. Let's go ahead and try to get this a bit closer to the center of mass. Bob is, of course, flying these remote control. And boom, we've docked kind of close. It should work. Let's go ahead and activate these engines and start deorbiting. At first I was kind of concerned that the monoprop wasn't going to be efficient enough, but we actually had plenty and got well into the atmosphere with the little fuel we did have. So now I'm going to go ahead and use the salvage ship to dock to the salvage probe. I want to do it before it drifts off too far, but I also want to finish the docking before the Starfighter probe re-enters the atmosphere, because then it will be destroyed. So let's go ahead and get up close to this thing. I'm constantly checking the map to make sure that the Starfighter has not entered the atmosphere. I'm kind of rushing, so I approach it very fast. I'm not really careful, and I end up bumping into it, and it goes floating off. Okay, so we go ahead and realign, attempt a secondary docking. This one I'm going to take slower, because I know I'm in a hurry, but if I go too fast, I'm just going to end up having to do it over and over again, and eventually it's just going to waste more time. So try to go slower this time. Hit it almost perfectly on the docking port, but for some reason it still doesn't dock. We go in for another try. It kind of bumps it out of the way. We turn, and the magnetic forces catch it and attach it. So now we are re-entering the atmosphere with the fighter. Go ahead and turn off the controls, and it whips around. I'm glad that it's nose heavy. I was kind of hoping that because the parachutes are on the back. You might notice that there's actually a parachute on the Starfighter. That was because it was originally designed to be reusable. Of course, if you look at it, that doesn't look like it's really going to happen. This is actually re-entering and getting pretty hot. I'm surprised because it wasn't that steep of a trajectory. If I had deadly re-entry, it probably would have burned up, and those parachutes also would have been torn off since they opened way too early. I actually have installed deadly re-entry now, and I'm just hoping it will add a bit more challenge to this series. But it looks like the parachutes have held, the hook has not torn off of the spacecraft, but then we crash, kind of roll down. If it wasn't for the actual shape of the cockpit, if it was the standard round shape, it probably would have kept rolling down the hill. But they're going to go ahead and wait for a recovery team, and now we need to use the salvage ship and try to re-rendezvous with the warp drive, which is actually way on a way different orbit than us, because we had to chase down the probe, which was going flying past the warp drive. So it's a good 60 kilometers away. We're going to go ahead, do a maneuver node, and try to get a close rendezvous. It comes up to about 1 kilometer, which is really good for a single burn to get into a rendezvous. So we go around, catching up on the debris, and let's go ahead and slow down. This methane engine has really proved itself on this mission. The high thrust is really nice, and it actually managed to get through everything with only using about a half tank of fuel. So we're approaching the warp drive, about 400 meters out. We're going to actually be docking with the probe still attached to the salvage ship this time, just so it doesn't run out of power again. And we come in to attach, and then I slow down and remember that I should probably attach to the center of mass. So I go ahead and back off a bit, realign, and then try to translate myself over to attach to this big computer core thing. I don't get it perfectly centered, but you don't really need to. It just needs to not whip it around all over the place. But we're getting in close, and we have a connection. So we go ahead, detach the probe, and I'm going to burn with it. But then I realize that the monoprop engines probably won't be able to carry that much weight. So I decide to actually deorbit the entire thing all at once, and then make the deorbit a little bit steeper for the probe so that they enter at separate times. So go ahead, separate. Oh, sorry, did I say probe? I meant the actual salvage craft. I make it enter the atmosphere at a way steep angle, which is probably a really bad idea if I had deadly re-entry. I mean, look at this. It's just gonna, like, cook. That definitely would have exploded. And then there's also the 2 parachutes that open. But it looks like it's coming down safe. We're going to go ahead, touch down, and send another recovery team to pick up the salvage ship. And then we're going to have to go back and get the warp drive. You might see a pretty little rainbow in the sky. That's because Interstellar hasn't quite been updated, so there's a lot of glitches. And when you time warp here, you're going to see there, that's the rainbow glitch problem. Yes, so the warp drive doesn't actually work because you can't have a reactor on your ship because it just falls off. And you actually need the reactor to make the... Oh wow, whipping all over the place. Yes, but you need the reactor to make the warp drive run. I'm hoping it gets updated. And it suddenly disappears. Yes, I tried to do this landing a second time. It didn't work. Let's just say that I did land the warp drive and recover it, because in real life there wouldn't be stupid physics glitches with unupdated mods. But anyway, I'm Con Happy. Thanks for watching.